Hello, this is Linus Klausenitzer from Alkaloid, and I'm here to talk about my gear that I use for Alkaloid concerts and for the studio recordings of our debut album, The Grimoire. So here we are at my little home studio in Germany. I'm standing in front of my bass guitars that I use for this album. So here is my good old Ibanez 80K bass that I use since forever. I think I have that bass since 10 years or something like that, and I used it for several recordings like the Noneuclid album Aborted. And yeah, it's just a very diverse bass. You can produce a lot of sound with it, and I like the very percussive sound of this fretted bass. I used it for a lot of heavy parts and for fast riffs and stuff like that. If I don't want to sing with a bass, if I want to be heavy and kick ass, then I use this bass. It's pretty simple actually. So that's number one. And number two was the Schuler Base. That's a hybrid bass. It's a combination of a fretless bass and a fretted bass. It has 4 fretted strings and 2 fretless strings. And you can combine it through different pickups, and you have a lot of ways to control the sound. And so this way you can combine the sound of a fretted bass and a fretless bass. So that was the main idea that I wanted to have for Alkaloid actually. And last but not least, my beloved Ibanez BTB7. It's a custom one because it's completely fretless. The good thing about this Ibanez BTB7 in general is that you have a lot of tone range. You have another additional 7 strings to a normal 6-string tuning, and I really like the idea of having more tone range in the higher frequencies, because I don't like to go very deep with that bass. I don't like the idea of going lower and lower and lower in tuning, because you lose attack and you lose punch. I use this bass for almost all session work that I do. I also use it for Obscura. With a fretless bass you can do more phrasing than with a fretted bass, so I really like that singing tone of bass melodies that you can produce with bass like that. I have a big tone range, and thanks to the thin neck of this bass I can reach all notes easily, so it's just a very handy bass that has a really amazing sound. I just can recommend it, and I also really like the look of the BTB series. It's very natural, and you can see that it has a very glossy style in comparison to my Ibanez BTB 767. Yeah, and it's an awesome instrument. When it comes to playing live, I will use the Schuler Base because it's the combination of a fretless bass and a fretted bass. I use it in a 6-string tuning, so that's the perfect instrument to have this combination of fretted and fretless sounds. Let's talk about my live equipment. This is my typical setup that I use live. It's a very basic setup because I don't like to have a lot of risks on stage, and if you tour a lot, what I do, then risk is what you start to hate very soon. So I explain you what my rack includes. So you have a standard tuner, you have a Sennheiser wireless system, which is the best one in my opinion. I tried a lot of wireless systems before that I had problems with, and where I thought that important frequencies would be cut out. So I really count on that one. Yeah, and then I have my amp. It's an Ampeg Svt 7 Pro. It's very good for using live because it's only yeah, it has only a weight of 7 kilograms, so it's really light, and that's perfect for touring. And I really love Ampeg because Ampeg amps to me have the most powerful sound. I also tried a lot of different amps before, but I always come back to Ampeg because it has so much power, and it's very hard to make a heavy, attacky sound with a fretless bass. So you can really make the band sound heavy with an Ampeg amp. So that's a very good combination. I never had a problem hearing myself with an Ampeg amp, and I'm one of those guys who change the sound every night, and you have a lot of possibilities with the different preamps that Ampeg offers. So I'm really happy with this one. I also really like the SVT4 Pro because you have the more of the typical tube sound. On the SVT7 Pro you only have one tube, and that's in the preamp. But for live it's just a perfect amp. Talking about strings, I always used the Darius strings. I really like the bright tone and the heavy and the very clear percussive sound that those strings have, and I can really say that I'm a bass player that has a very hard playing. So in the beginning I had problems with breaking strings, but not with the Darius. So that I think on the whole touring, I think with Obscura I had never the problem of a broken string.